Does the rest of the panel agree that ideally the cap would be lifted, although that may not be realistic to try now, or is there a reason not to do that?
I agree with Tim. It's not the time to do it with having to balance the budget. What we have is working, what we have is bringing jobs. And I don't think it's time to go back to the legislature and ask for more. Speaking in terms of the crew, when we were showing the Marvel people around the lot the first time, someone said, oh, there's so-and-so's son, and there's so-and-so's son. And we have actually a replenishing crew in Wilmington. We have people that grew up at the knees of their mothers and fathers learning this industry. And it was the Marvel people who really pointed that out. So that's an intrinsic value that we didn't even realize, but it's, I think, one of the things that makes our crew base even stronger.
Greg?
Sorry, Tim.
No, I just wanted to, go ahead.
Just stand down for a minute, Jesse. We'll let Greg go.
No, but I'm going to come from the position as a television producer as opposed to a film producer, and I think there's also something to be said for you don't need big stars to have an effective community, and you don't have to have the Sandra Bullocks and all those people to make your community work. It's like television series is another thing. Wilmington is the perfect town to do series television in. The crew base is strong. There's a studio, there's an infrastructure that's completely in place. And it's like, you know, we're throwing all these multi-million-dollar numbers around, and I get all that stuff because these shows are huge. In the last 15 years, there was a period in those last 15 years where if you shot a cannon down the lot, the only person you'd hit would be somebody who worked on this show for me. And so there's a structure that happens there that is good because in the last 15 years, you know, the two studios that I've worked for have dropped $500 million into this community. That's a lot of money. And so I think we need, obviously having big films is a beautiful thing, but the great part about this area is I think it can sustain both. And I think they each have their own advantages in their own way. So the key to pass out to everybody is Wilmington, North Carolina, the entire state itself, because there's a lot of stuff starting to happen in Charlotte now too. This is a place where people should be coming, and this is a place where they should be working, because we literally have everything here. So.
I'm not an economist, but it's not money that we're taking out of our pocket and giving to people that, you know, we got the money, it came here, and we're giving them a break. We're not spending money that we are saving. I don't know if that's clear.
Zero is still zero. Saying if the movie's going to be made somewhere, so if we don't get it, we get zero, and they have to, and it's a post-performance rebate, so they have to spend the money before we give money. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
And also too, all the money that is spent here, they pay sales tax, there's payroll tax, and I know that covers a good portion of what the incentive is. And not even taking into consideration how many times the money that's spent rolls over in the marketplace from business to business. So it really is a good economic investment.
So Dan, is there a different strategy to grow the independent productions? I mean, I assume most of those don't qualify for incentive dollars. Is there a different approach there, or does that just naturally grow because of the activity from the major productions that are here?
Well, I mean, you know, the biggest impact comes from what happens at the studio. The entrepreneurial activity that is generated from major productions is incredible. I mean, it's these people are staying in Wilmington because they like it, because it's a better place to live, and they start businesses. Kukla Horse is a great example of an entrepreneurial effort that was born out of the film industry. But you know, there are a dozen bars in Wilmington, 20 restaurants that were all started by people who came here because of the film industry. You've got very creative people who are very ambitious. It's the kind of people who are part of the film industry. And when they fall in love with Wilmington, they do other things here in Wilmington. And so, you know, we see that as being a key strategy. But then we also obviously are trying to support emerging artists who don't have access to funds. And so at our festival, for example, 50% of our ticket sales go directly back to the filmmakers. And so we're actively looking for ways to increase the amount of independent production. The university is a great resource for that. And at the end of the day, the film festival is the venue where those people come together. So we're creating an incentive for people to make work. And that feeds, it creates an environment. I look at it a little bit as Cuculloris is one of the organisms that's in the soil, and the studio is like the big tree. And we are helping to cultivate the atmosphere and the environment and the cultural kind of community that filmmakers want to put themselves in when they're making their films. And that goes for the guy who's making a music video that's going to be 3 minutes, as well as the people from Marvel who are going to spend a slightly more money here. They want to come to a place that's fun and interesting. And so downtown Wilmington is an incredible asset. If you come from LA or New York, you don't want to go to a sleepy southern town. You want to go somewhere where there's something going on. And believe it or not, for our size, Wilmington has a whole lot going on. Starting tomorrow, we have a film festival.
We have a question, table 15, Dalton Green.
Hi, this is directed to Greg, and more along the line of TV production. I know that at least 2 TV pilots were recently filmed here, I think Heart of Dixie and Revenge, and I wondered if you knew anything about why neither of those have chosen to stay in the area. I know at least Revenge was picked up. I don't know about Heart of Dixie, if that had anything to do with the tax incentive, or is there some other reason why both of these productions came out here to shoot the pilot and then have headed back out west to continue filming?
Well, I think they came to shoot the pilots here for the reasons that that still do exist to some degree creatively, and that is the fact that they wanted either a southern look or a little bit of a northern look that had beach and it had water and it had Heart of Dixie, for example, obviously is a southern kind of tale. I think the problem with those shows was you had lead actors who didn't want to live here in the process of doing a series. And I remember quite a few years ago, I was doing the remake of Fantasy Island in Hawaii, and the gentleman who was the lead of the show, it's like we're over there one day, we're on the beach shooting, and he comes to me and he goes, "Greg," I guess he goes, "I'm going to have to live here, aren't I?" And I go, "Yeah, you are." They don't realize that sometimes if you get the series picked up, you got to live in the place that you happen to shoot it at. So I think these actresses kind of knew up front that they did not, that they'll go anywhere they need to go to shoot the 12-day pilot or 13-day pilot, but in terms of a long-term commitment, they wanted to be at home, and that could, which I think is the thing we're all talking about here. Everybody would like to be able to shoot where they live and be able to go home to your family at night, and for them, this wasn't home,
But off that, the director of Revenge, Philip Noyes, who's a really respected director, fell in love with Wilmington, and now we're looking at least 1, maybe 2 projects from him from coming back. So,
Question at table 13, Lee.
After I texted the question in, y'all started getting on that road a little bit. But at the beginning of our discussion, we were talking about job creation. And having a minor career in the hospitality and tourism industry before I got into financial services, I've been amazed with friends of mine that work in y'all's industry, and I would see them on the set and stop to talk to them. Hopefully that didn't get them in trouble. But I was amazed at people that were standing on the side that were from out of town, from overseas, that were here visiting our area. Do we manage or keep a database on that type of data to help promote economic incentives? Because that's a piece that's coming to the area that I think we're missing when we're talking about the economic incentives to stimulate our economy.
That's a really good point.
yeah,
So we are not allowed to count that.
Yeah. We did a fairly large study, and it was an honest study. You see all these states doing all these studies, and they're getting a lot of press because there's these dramatic numbers. Our study was honest, and so it got no press. because, you know, we can talk about direct spending. It's the induced spending, the cottage industry of tourism that this industry makes. You know, how do you accurately and honestly calculate that? You know, we can arbitrarily throw out a number, but it's so difficult to put a number to that induced spending. If anybody has an idea how to do it.
We're obviously actively tracking that and looking for ways to increase that and looking at opportunities at other times during the year. You know, I think I mentioned it before, but a film like Blue Velvet has a worldwide following, a sort of a cult following with filmmakers. And when we bring filmmakers to Wilmington, I'll be driving them from the airport and we'll pass Carolina Apartments, and they sort of look twice and they're like, man, what? Have I seen that building before? That is so weird. And it's like, well, that's, you know, that's the apartment from Blue Velvet. And so they're, for the first time, are aware that Wilmington is a production location. Believe it or not, most filmmakers are still, Wilmington is still a bit of a secret unless you're a producer in LA and you're, you know, shopping around for places to make movies. And so we're obviously actively trying to spread that message that Wilmington is a place that has a long history as a film production location, and as a result has some pretty curious resources for people who are interested in coming to visit. And yeah.
So maybe, Bill, you could give us a sense of the activity at the studio. Obviously, with One Tree Hill wrapping up, that was a lot of activity for a number of years. We're fortunate there's more activity now, plus the addition of Iron Man. But can you give us a sense of the activity level there, kind of post One Tree Hill, as to what?
Right now, we have a made-for-television movie that moved in this week that we heard about on Thursday when they got the go-ahead, but they landed Monday morning to set up offices. They'll be shooting in December, and they're going to be in and out by the first of the year. We're talking to another film that looks like it'll be coming here right after Thanksgiving. Iron Man is going to be have a big impact on the studio and on the community, but it is not closing the studio down. We're not hanging up a sign that says "Gone Fishing" until 2012. So 2013. There are stages available. There's only a few-week period in the middle of the year that they'll be on all the stages. So as we talk to this picture that's coming in, they've decided they found their locations in town. We have a stage large enough for them to build the set that they need to build. And you know, we hope to close that deal this week. So we will remain busy with other productions while Iron Man is here.
And that's the issue we're facing right now. The perception in Hollywood, North Carolina is closed down because of Iron Man. So Monday morning, we're changing our marketing message that we are not at capacity. We're starting to send out, you know, our marketing materials to the studios and to producers in Los Angeles saying, you know, we're not at capacity. We can handle Iron Man, and we can handle much more. So we've had to, because of this behemoth, we've had to change our messaging and pretty quick. So that's the perception. Because of this great thing, we have to, it brings up unintended consequences, and now we have to go back, but we're able to react quickly and start shaping a new message for producers.
It's a good problem to have, though.
Yeah, it is.
Got memories? Get DVDs. Tapes won't last forever. Digital transfers will. Do it today, so you'll have your memories tomorrow. Call us at 399-1820 or online at myrealvideo.com. Mold and time ruin videotapes. Tapes won't last forever. Digital transfers will. Do it today, so you'll have your memories tomorrow. Call us at 399-1820 or online at myrealvideo.com.